Hi, I'm Kyle Harris, and we went over in the first video of our series the proper training for the NASM-OPT phase of stabilization endurance. Now, these exercises are focused on baseball players. They also work for softball, but we're going to show you how we would progress those stabilization endurance exercises into strength endurance exercises. We would do the same aerobic warm-up where we'd utilize some piece of machinery or equipment like a recumbent bike or an upright bike or an elliptical or an arc trainer, something that's whole body exercise to get the body ready to go. Warm the body up, get the energy systems ready, get some blood flowing, some synovial fluid and things to joints, and then we would move on to our next thing. Since it's baseball, I went over a shoulder circuit on the other video, and we used stability or resistance bands. I'm going to show you another way you could do those. You can utilize a cable or a functional trainer, and we'll just do the same thing. Internal rotations. And again, you want to make sure you're using both sides of the body. I'm just going to do one arm for each just so you can see these. External rotations. You want to keep the shoulder down. Same exact techniques we showed you in the other video. We're just doing it with a cable just to show you how you can progress this exercise, regress this exercise, or use the equipment that you have. The nice thing about the cable is that you can adjust it to height. If you have a player coming back from rehab, they can alter their range of motion a little easier. And the tension is constant. It's not a dynamic tension that you get with the band. Then, as part of our warm-up, we would do the same foam rolling and self-myofascial release exercises we used in the stabilization endurance exercises, and we would progress into active isolated stretches. So the next phase of our workout is going to be to move on to active isolated stretching. We've done some aerobic work, we've done our shoulder circuit, we've done some self-myofascial release that you saw in the the stability endurance video. Now we're going to do some active isolated stretches. With active isolated stretch, you use the opposing muscle that you're stretching to contract to increase the stretch, and we're going to hold that for about 2 seconds. We're going to do 8 to 10 repetitions. So we're going to do the adductor magnus first here. So we're going to post up our leg. We're going to be stretching this adductor in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to reach down into a stretch, hold for 2 seconds, and then come back up. We're going to reach down. We're going to try to contract that opposite muscle, and then come back up. We'd perform 8 to 10 of those on both sides. That muscle is a very important muscle to keep lengthened in baseball as we rotate, when we hit or when we throw. Catchers squatting, taking off, a lot of lateral movements, crossovers. We need to keep that muscle limber, extensible, flexible, and we need to keep it functional so we don't injure that. The next one we're going to do is a standing hip flexor. We're going to stagger our feet here. We want both feet ahead. What we're going to do is perform a posterior pelvic tilt. Get that hip flexor engaged a little bit, and then I'm going to stretch this right leg here, and I'm going to contract my glute as hard as I can, hold it for 2 seconds, and then relax. Same thing, make sure I'm in my pelvic tilt, contract that glute as hard as I can, hold for 2 seconds, and relax. Pelvic tilt, contract that glute, feel that stretch here, and then relax. What we're doing here is we're working something called reciprocal inhibition, so we're trying to lengthen the muscles that way. The next one we're going to do is the standing TFL. Again, we're going to come into a little altered stance. Yesterday I showed you how I like to kick the hip out. We want to get into that position here. We're going to stretch. We're going to raise our arm. And we're going to turn into it, hold that, and relax. I actually like to have them make this almost an extension of the hip flexor stretch. I like to get into that pelvic tilt, contract it, maybe kick the hip out a little bit, and reach back this way. Hold for 1, 2. And then relax. From here, reach up and over, hold that for 1, 2, and then relax. Oh. tilt, kick out, reach back, hold for 1, 2, and then relax. The next one we're going to do is a pectoral stretch. In the pectoral stretch, we can use a ball, or we can use a bench, a box, or a chair. We're coming down on our knees here. We're sinking into that stretch. 1, 2 seconds, and then back up. You can also use a ball. I prefer using a stability ball. Provides a little bit of a different resistance. Hold that for 1, 2. Relax. Hold that for 1, 2. And relax. Next, we're going to do a lat stretch, a ball lat stretch. We're going to come out with the ball this way, hold it for 2 seconds, and then back in. Hold it for 2 seconds, and then back in. And then the last one, we're going to do our upper trapezius and neck area. We want to keep this section of our body as extensible as possible, as loose as possible. We do not want to get those muscles tight because that starts to affect the nerves that go through there, and that can have a negative impact on our shoulder and all the way down our arm. So if I'm going to do my right side, I'm going to open my hands up, spread my fingers, and I'm going to turn my neck, and I'm going to reach down, feeling the stretch here, hold for 2 seconds and relax. Tilt my neck, reach down, hold for 2 seconds and relax. The next thing we're going to do in our workout is core and balance training. So the first exercise on this day we're going to do some different exercises here, is a reverse hyper. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. Ideally, you'd have a reverse hyper machine at your gym. A lot of gyms don't have that. If they have a hyperextension bench, what we're going to do is we're going to flip around. Instead of getting in on it this way, we're going to flip around. If you need to, you can set a pad here. We're going to flip around here. We're going to grab on. And we're going to extend our legs here. Another way you can do that exercise is using a flat bench. And that would be a little bit of a regression from the way we showed you the first time. You could also add a band to that for some resistance if you need to, but that's going to be the first thing we're going to do. The next thing we're going to do is a cable lift. We're going to grab the cable down low, come up and across her body. In the actual workout, we would do both sides of our body. This would be an exercise that on another day during the week, we may actually move this up this way and perform cable rotations. And then if we had a 3-day workout, we may move it up and do cable chops. And then the last core exercise we're going to do on this day would be a reverse crunch. You can do it on a bench. You can do it on the ground. I'm going to show you on the ground today. Be here. And then for the balance portion today, we're going to do a single leg RDL with no resistance. So we'll come this way. And we're going to do all the repetitions for one leg before we move on to the next leg. We can progress this through proprioceptively by using a balance beam, a BOSU ball, a dyna disc, a foam pad, half of a foam roll, or we can progress it strength-wise using a barbell or a dumbbell. With the barbell, we would just track the same exact technique. We're just using a barbell for resistance. As we move on from core and stability, we're going to move to the plyometric portion of the training. In the strength exercise, we're actually starting to use the strength endurance, we're starting to use a repeating tempo. So we're going to do things repeatedly. The first thing we're going to do today is a frontal plane box jump. We're going to jump onto the box laterally and then back down. And we're going to try to do that quickly. Quick but controlled. We're going to do that 4 times on one side, and then we would do it 4 times on the other side. You can use this, you can regress this to a lower box, and then as you get better, you can use a higher box, and so forth. Well, you want to make sure your athletes are maintaining functionability, posture, and technique when they're doing that. You do not want to have them making any compensations when doing that, because we're moving in the frontal plane. There may be a little bit of shifting in the transverse plane, and that could lead to an injury. The next exercise is going to be power step-ups. We'll start with one leg here. We're going to explode up, just alternating legs until we reach the prescribed amount of repetitions for that exercise. And then the last one today are repeating squat jumps. So we did this in the video we showed you for stabilization endurance. And as we did that, we were up and we held that landing for 3 to 5 seconds. In this phase, we're going to do it repeatedly as fast as possible. And you continue to do those until you reach the desired amount of repetitions for that workout. This part of the training is the speed, agility, and quickness portion, or also referred to as SAQ in short. So we're going to show you these. The first thing we're going to do today is some technique work, and we're going to use this as some tube walking. This is a resistance band. This may be difficult for most of your athletes. You can get thinner tubing, or you can get some surgical tubing. But if you use it around the knees, it's going to be easier for your athletes. If an athlete has excessive upper body swing or excessive upper body motion when they're running, this is a great exercise. This is also a great exercise to build the glute medius especially, and the abductors. The athlete's stronger, you can move that band around the ankles, and it's more difficult. You want to really fight the trail leg here and make that work on the way back. So you're working that muscle accelerating. When you're going to the left, the muscles on the left side are accelerating, and the muscles on the right side are decelerating. And then if they're very strong for the tubing that you have, you can place the tubing around the forefoot. Placing it around the forefoot will also engage the glutes more. For athletes that also have knees that cave in when they squat or when they perform triple flexion running, this is also an excellent exercise. After that, we're going to work marching. So as we're marching, we're coming up, trying to keep that leg straight. But we don't want to come in this way. We're trying to come here. The next exercise we would do on this day is an A-skip. As we're doing an A-skip, we want to try to maintain proper running posture and a nice natural arm swing. Then we're going to progress into some speed ladder training. We're going to do 2-ins, which is a progression from the 1-ins we showed you in the previous video. So the 2-ins, same thing. We're getting those knees high, natural arm swing, and we're going to get 2 feet in each box. We would go the length of the ladder. For today's demonstration, we're using a shortened ladder. I led with my left foot that way, so on the way back, I want to try to lead with my right foot. After that, we're going to shift to some upper body agility drills. We're going to do an upper body side in, out drill. So we're going to start here, We're gonna come in, out, out. And I believe it's important to keep an upper body agility component in these workouts for stability. Benefits hand-eye coordination a little bit, but it's just really good for the stabilization of the shoulder and upper body agility. And then lastly, we're gonna do an Ali shuffle. So now we're moving on to the resistance portion, the resistance training portion of the exercise and workout. And we're gonna start with a total body exercise, and then we're gonna progress to what the strength endurance phase is based around, which is a superset. You use a stable exercise like a squat or a leg press, and you superset it with an unstable exercise that's done in a proprioceptively rich environment like a ball squat or a Bosu ball squat. You perform 12 repetitions on the first week of the strength endurance phase for each exercise. On the stable exercise, you want to use a 2-0-2 tempo. On the unstable exercise, or the one that's performed in the proprioceptive rich environment, you want to use a 4-2-1 tempo. So the first one we're going to do is a deadlift to shrug to calf raise. The reason I like this exercise so much and want to make sure I get it in is because this is a really good exercise to help train the athletes to start at the triple flexion and to get into triple extension as we might progress to something like a high pull or a hang clean or a power clean. So this is a good builder of that. It builds the muscles, it builds some endurance and some stability. So when we do go to those more complex exercises, they have the ability to do those. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a leg exercise. So we're going to start in a stable environment and do a leg press. We would perform 12 repetitions of this in a controlled fashion. And then we would immediately go to an unstable exercise. Phase one of training, we did a total body exercise with the stability ball. It was a stability ball, squat, curled, press. Here we're just doing the squat. Now, if in that phase, the athletes have developed enough stability, they can use a Bosu ball to do their squats. They can flip the Bosu ball around and do squats on it this way, or they can use balance discs like this or that, depending on their stability levels. After that, we're going to move on to the next exercise. The next superset. I need this. We're going to superset an incline bench press with a stability ball push-up. Again, for each exercise we're doing 12 repetitions, and we're working a 2-0-2 tempo on our stable exercise. And on our unstable exercise, we're working with a 4-second negative 4-2-1 tempo. If athletes have developed enough stability, They can also attempt to do their push-ups this way on the ball, which is going to require more upper body stabilization, which in my opinion you can't have enough for a sport like baseball. After that, we're going to do back. On this day, we're going to do a rack chin. This is actually day 2 of the workout that we're going through. Day 2 of the workout in strength endurance. So we're going to do a rack chin. We're going to find something to put our feet on, and we're going to simulate a pull-up motion. This exercise can be progressed by adding weight to your lap, or regressed by adjusting the bar height and moving the foot placement out. Then we're going to superset that with a standing lat pull. So we're going to stand, engage our core, and perform a lat pull down. This exercise can be progressed with weight, or you can add a Bosu ball or balance disc to stand on, or you can perform it on one leg, single leg. After that, we're going to move to shoulders. And we're going to perform standing shoulder press and a single leg scap chin. If we're doing 6 reps after 3, or if we're doing 12 reps after 6, we're going to switch legs. So we're giving each leg the same amount of attention. And again, we're working in that 4, 2, 1 tempo. And then we're going to do some auxiliary work. We're going to do some bicep curls. And we won't superset those with anything. We're going to do some triceps, and on this day it's going to be a cable push down. And since we're performing all of these exercises in a stable environment, we're going to stick with the 2-0-2 tempo. And then one more exercise and we're done. As I've mentioned before, the stability of the shoulders are good, so we're going to end the workout with a band face pull. You can do this by hooking the band around any apparatus here. And you're just going to do once the resistance portion of the exercise or the workout is done, we'll revert back to the same static stretching protocol I showed you at the warm-up portion of the stabilization endurance phase. Like I said throughout the video, this is the second phase of the OPT NASM model, strength endurance. This is actually day 2 of the workout that I created for a high school baseball player that's either new to lifting or resuming lifting after some time off. In day 1, the exercises are slightly different as they are progressed from the first phase. In day 3, some of the exercises are slightly different, but the concepts and the acute variables are the same. Thank you.